wanted to do we were addressing the shifter problems, but I also wanted to do a different boot and shift knob. And I looked high and low through all the options that I had, and it's really difficult to find kind of exactly what I was looking for, which was something ergonomic, comfortable, and possibly Alcantara. You really can't find anything like that. There was like a German company that made shift knobs for like the Golf and things like that I thought was pretty cool, but I think the knob itself was like almost $300. And I don't really want to spend that kind of money on a shift knob. So what I ended up with was kind of OEM plus. And my first idea was, and well, not my first idea, this is like my 50th idea, but this is a knob out of a first gen NSX, the NA1. Leather wrapped, stitched. It just has like the perfect look, I think, and the feel. It's a nice feeling, high quality leather, and I think it kind of steps up the quality of your in-cab experience, just to the kind of level that I was looking for. Now, I also got the matching shift boot from the NSX. This is what that is. And the reason I did that is because I was looking at it and I'm like, oh yeah, shift boot mates up to here to this surface, and that's what these are for. And sure as hell, that's what it is. It literally plugs right into here and works with this flawlessly. Now, the problem is I was originally going to graft this in along with the shift pattern if I could, just because I thought it'd be a nice added touch and a nod to the NSX, right? Well, as you can see, this is wider than this by a long shot. And I got to thinking about it and I was like, yes, I could graft that in. I could do a lot of shaving, and I was going to fiberglass it in, basically, shave it down and just make it look like it was always that way. But I mean, there'd be an awful lot of work to make it look like it belongs there when this shift boot is really I wouldn't say perfect condition, but in very good condition. There's nothing really wrong with it. And it also has the stitching, which I think goes better with this stitching rather than this kind of hidden stitch on the NSX boot. I'll probably end up going with this through all of my trial and error and stuff, because what I'm going to try and do is duplicate these notches on this little collar here. But this collar is broken, as you can see right there, so it's probably not going to hold real tight. So I'll see what I can do. I'll probably just end up notching it at the 12 and 6 position, and then if I have to, I'll glue the inside and make sure it's a solid piece again, so it can snap in and out of there, and hopefully it all works out. Wish me luck. Okay, so the other part of this was I didn't like this little chrome ring here, but I decided since the fit is perfect with the shift knob, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna graft it in and see what I can do. I'm gonna try my hand at it. Hopefully I don't ruin this console. And too late, it's already ruined. Yada yada yada, all that stuff, on top of that, so I took out the old shift boot, and then it has its rubber ring here, so just give myself as much clearance as I can. As you can see, if I line this up here, it's almost a perfect fit width-wise. What are we at? Maybe 1/4 of an inch on each side, and then it's a little bit longer overall. So my goal, I think, is to just line it up with this lip here. I'm going to get rid of this tab, get rid of this big long tab here, obviously, because we won't have room for it. I might even route that out and save it if I can. I don't know. I just like that as a nod to the NSX touch, you know what I mean? But we'll see how it goes. Okay, cut the little notches out, as you can see. Put this in here, and I'll show you the edges. See, they're not perfect, but I got a plan for that. As you can see, they're close. Okay guys, it's day 2. So this is kind of a preview of what it's gonna look like. If I had it to do over again, I don't know if I would do it this way or not. I was thinking I might just do a layer of carbon fiber across the whole thing, and then cut the hole for this, because I had to tape the crap out of this and this in order to get a nice edge. Since I'm not wrapping anything in carbon fiber, it's kind of wrapped, but it's not really. It's just placed on there. And full disclosure, I had to do 6 pieces. So what I did was I made like templates of each, you know what I'm saying? So there would be one, there would be one, and it's literally 6 pieces of carbon fiber that I had chopped out. Now this stuff is really thin and really easy to form to any shape, but because of that, it's also very difficult to keep it intact while it's all loose and it's not, doesn't have any resin or anything curing it or, keeping it in place. It can actually mess up really easily. And this is not perfect at all. I didn't match the of weaves everywhere, you know. There's some high spots right here I've got to knock down. There's a big glob in here that really doesn't bother me. I mean, it looks okay. It's down in the pocket and you're not even really gonna see it. But yeah, it's just, and full disclosure, it's a biatch, because when this stuff hardens, I'm using extreme resin. It's highly recommended off of Amazon. One thing that I've noticed is, although it is odorless, which I really like, it takes forever to dry. Spoiler alert, it never dries. It never dries. Don't buy this product, people. The extreme resin crap that I got, that I mentioned there, that you see in the video, don't buy it. It's terrible, it's horrible, it's crap. Now, to their credit, they tried to fix it. They tried to send me more of their shitty product, basically. That's how their conflict resolution went about when I said, look, your stuff doesn't work. And I had waited 2 weeks for this stuff to dry. And it never did. It never really fully cured, and ultimately kind of sabotaged this whole project. And I'm gonna have to redo it. I already know my OCD isn't gonna let this ride like this forever. But I mean, for now it's tolerable, but you'll see. I would describe it as tolerable, barely tolerable. The shift boot and the knob looks great, but the base, I'm gonna have to revisit this, and you'll see. Like, I even hit it with the heat gun, and I feel like it took a full day to really cure and get some good hardness in here, you know, the way I would have liked it to cure. I think that's because this room isn't very warm. I mean, it's probably 65 degrees. That's kind of what I keep my apartment at, and it's just, yeah, it's not the warmest. I guess if I wanted better results, I would just turn the heat up in this room. But as I said, I tried everything. I tried heat. I tried waiting for 2 weeks. I mixed it perfectly. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. Who could get that wrong? Who? Even I can get that. So it wasn't me. It's the resin. It's the product. The new stuff that they sent me to fix their mess up, I didn't even try it. I was already pretty much done with this project by the time that it got to me. And what am I gonna do? Just pour the new stuff over the old stuff? I mean, I'm gonna have to sand it down. Hopefully, if it's dry now, I don't know how I'm gonna fix this. I may have to cut that whole section out. And my idea was maybe just to wrap it in like a Alcantara, like I wanted in the first place. Or, you know, that would be a cool idea. And then plastic weld it back together. Maybe some epoxy, you know, or some, you know, some fiberglass on the backside. I don't know how I'm gonna fix it, but yeah, the heat didn't work. I got it up to like 90 degrees in the room that it was in, and it was just this room, but you can't see it. But yeah, that's the adventure. Don't buy extreme resin from Amazon. You'll have a bad time. I don't know. I don't like it hot, you know? So anyway, I'm going to heat gun it again. I'm probably going to do another layer, but right now what I'm doing is I'm just kind of cutting all this out. That's why it's such a biatch, because it was taped. I had this whole thing taped up if you saw the previous pictures, and I'm trying to get around the edge here very carefully with this razor knife so I'm not slicing my brand new $100 NSX boot that we're going to use here. Yes, that boot cost me $100. As did the knob, which is way over there. But this is going to be cool. I think it's going to look really nice at the end. And, well, if you're watching this video, that means I'm already done with this project. And full disclosure, I'm going to redo this project. More than likely. Like I said before, my OCD is not going to let this ride. Yeah, so what I did was, during this whole process, I did layer after layer. Very thin layers, but in addition to it not really drying all the way, it was, for whatever percentage that it was drying uneven in a lot of areas. It was really hard to level this stuff out. I would have to knock it down with the Dremel in some places, and then of course reapply so I could get the finish that I was looking for. And ultimately I kind of gave up after 2 weeks of waiting for the last layer to dry. I painted over it. Now, unfortunately, it dried all funky. The paint did. On top of this still not fully cured mass of resin, if you want to call it that. I mean, I don't even know if I would call it resin. It's a sorry excuse for resin, but yeah. And so as a result, it kind of stretched and pulled the paint on top, and it wrinkled in some places, it kind of stretched in others, and it just looks really funky now. So I kind of hate it, low-key hate it, but I mean, it's one of those things. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. My first plan was to, maybe fill it with Bondo, in the crevasses on each side, right? And then body work it, and paint it. That probably would have been what a professional would do. I don't know. I'm not a very good paint guy though, and I really hate working with Bondo. I absolutely hate it. Not a good body guy at all. And I don't have the patience for that. So apparently I don't have patience for this either. But also, to my defense, that extreme resin really is crap. So it is what it is. Don't buy that stuff, guys. I can't say that enough. Don't buy it. You'll have a bad time. There's other good stuff out there. I think C&J Composites is one of my favorites. And you can find that on eBay. C&J Composites, I think is the name of it. Stuff I used to use back in the day, and it was really good stuff. Anyway, I'm carefully going around the edge here to cut off all the stragglers. There was little fuzzies, when I cut this out, because it's a fabric and it's not a very nice one to work with if you want to keep things nice and neat. It just isn't. Take my word for it. And is this the proper way to make carbon fiber parts? No, absolutely not. You'd want to vacuum seal it and put it in what do they call that? In a kiln, like a big oven, and bake it, if you're going to do it right. This is not the correct way to do it, but it's a way that you can get some of the same effect. And it's great for making your own DIY carbon fiber pieces at home if you want. For instance, they're not going to make a carbon fiber trim piece for this. Not one that's going to fit an NSX boot, right? If you just want like a custom touch in your interior of your car, you can do that. This is my first time doing this, so but I am by no means an expert. And no, this is not the proper way to do it. But it's a way to do it and achieve the same look that I'm looking for that's a little bit higher quality than something like a vinyl wrap that you would put in here, in my opinion. None of the vinyl wraps are very convincing to me, and I don't like the look of them. So at least this looks somewhat real, quote, there's my quote, somewhat real, and because it is, and for that reason I like it. I'm gonna, add one more layer, add several layers, as previously stated, it never cured. Spoiler alert, it never cured. The shadow chrome though looked really good. Initially, when I sprayed it on there, it looked really good. It achieved the exact effect that I was going for. So shout out to shadow chrome, man. That I don't remember who makes it, but I think I may have shown it in earlier in this video. But yeah, it's good stuff, man. If you want to just knock down the chrome finish a bit, to make it more stealthy, I highly recommend it. It's worth it. It works really well. Just don't spray it over something that isn't fully cured, and don't get extreme resin. Just so these edges are real nice and smooth, and I've decided I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to use like a really fine paintbrush to get in really close to the boot here. And yes, it will touch the boot, but I don't plan on replacing this boot anytime soon. And if and when I do, I'll address that later, but hopefully it just lasts a lot of years after this. But anyway, yeah, another layer of resin. And then I think I'm gonna, after I knock down some of these high spots too, I'll do the layer of resin. And then on top of that, clear coat to just kind of protect it. And I was thinking, I got some shadow chrome. I was thinking about throwing over the top. So it basically is a candy black. And I was thinking about just doing a light couple of coats, maybe 1 or 2 coats on that to just darken it and knock this down and make it a little more subdued, so that you really have to look to see if there's any carbon there. You know what I mean? I want it to almost blend in. I'm not trying to highlight the fact that it's carbon fiber. The only reason that I'm doing this is because I had the carbon fiber laying around. So I was like, you know what, why not use it? I don't have any chop mat or any fiberglass mat. But anyway, it was to cover up the space in between the stock CRX hole, right, and the much narrower NSX boot. So now it'll look like it belongs there. I was gonna use the stock boot, but even though I bored it out, like I said I was gonna do, and in order to accommodate the NSX knob and those little feet that kind of hold the boot to the knob or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Even though I did that, it was just broken and it was too loose, and I would have had so much effort to try and make that work. I was just like, why not just use the boot that was meant for that and have a seamless look? And I knew it was going to be a lot more effort, and it was going to be kind of kind of a biatch, like I said, and it has been. Rest assured, it's not the easiest thing to do or the funnest thing to do, but I think in the end, I'm going to like the results and it'll be worth the effort. So you be the judge yourself. This is, again, going to be more of a resto mod than a restoration on this car. Yes, it needs one of everything and it needs to be somewhat restored, but I'm going to do it my way. It's not going to be stock. It's going to be what I want. So, okay guys, here she is, all trimmed up. And as you can see, this rough patch here, I just took my Dremel and I already had this little this burr bit on it, I guess you could call it. Let's see if this will focus. Just like a burr bit. I think that's what they call it. It's like for a burring tool. Anyway, I already had this on there, so that's just what I used to knock this down. And I just wanted it smooth because it had all these ridges from the edge of the fabric that were sticking up. So obviously this is a piece, here's a piece, here's a piece. So we got 3, 4, 5, and then I have a 6th piece right here, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, so it's not perfect right now, but I think if I do another coat of the resin, and I'm gonna just get in all these little crevices here, and I'll have it just meet this edge so there isn't a hard edge like there is now. It'll just kind of blend in. I think that'll be a good look. And then I'll just butt it right up to the shift boot. And again, if this shift boot fails in the future for whatever reason, we'll replace it or whatever, and we'll revisit this. And yes, it will be a bitch, but hopefully I won't have to do that for a very long time. But yeah, that's kind of the plan. This is nice and smooth now. It's not going to cut somebody if they touch it. So that's kind of how I wanted it. I didn't need it to be perfect. I didn't need the weave to be perfect. You can see it's all like right here. It doesn't look the best, I admit, but I'm okay with it. I'm fine with it. Yeah, it is what it is. Just to help me a little bit, yesterday I used a little bit of this spray adhesive and I just put it on the surface here after taping it off. And that helped me to lay the mat down and to keep it in place while I was working with it and putting the resin over top and basically impregnating it with the resin, right? Impregnating. Anyway, yes, so that's kind of what I was doing. Just keep everything in place. This piece right down here, because it was so small and this fabric is so delicate when it's not when it's just dry like that, it was real special. It's like, so here's a piece right here. You can see how flimsy it is. Look at the edges. It's really hard to keep these edges nice and neat, and it's just really flexible, really flimsy when it's not in its final form. It's really it can be difficult to work with. So there it is. I mean, I just needed some sort of fiber, whether it be chop mat or whatever, and I was gonna seal that void there. And since I already had this, why not? And then again, I'm probably gonna darken it up with like a candy black, just so I want to diminish this even more. I don't want it to be a highlight. I don't care that it's carbon fiber. I'm kind of over the carbon fiber craze. My last show car, I had a whole bunch of carbon fiber all over it. I had carbon fiber everything, man, you name it, I had it. Anyway, now I'm just like, meh, it's carbon fiber, it's but it'll add a little touch to the interior, so it'll be pretty cool. Anyway, enough of my rambling. Okay guys, it's probably going on 2 weeks now since I started this project. The extreme resin I got off of Amazon is utter crap. I mixed it perfectly. It's a 1-to-1 ratio and it just never fully cured, so it's still kind of tacky. Although it's I would say 90% cured, 95%, it's still tacky such that if you touch it you can leave fingerprints in it, which is pretty maddening. But I've decided to go ahead and paint it anyway. I was gonna tint this. That was always the plan, just because it's carbon fiber. I'm over the whole carbon fiber craze, and I don't really care too much about it being carbon fiber. I just happen to have that laying around. True story. Didn't have any fiberglass mat because originally I was going to do that in order to add the structure to fit the new NSX boot, right? So yeah, long story short, we've got all this done. I want to tint this, and so if you want to see that it's carbon fiber, you really have to get up on it and really look at it. So we're just going to add kind of a shadow chrome over it, see what that does. And if it completely blacks it out, I really don't care. It won't break my heart. Hopefully the paint cures over the top of this worthless resin, and we can finally wrap this project up in time to put the car back together. I've got various other things going on at the same time, but you'll see in the video all those things when we get done. So yeah, I'm just gonna tape this edge off, and then I'm gonna shadow chrome this whole thing. Granted, it's not chrome, but I'm using shadow chrome to tint this. It's basically like a candy black with a chrome, not a chrome, a clear over it. So this should darken it, tint it really into kind of the shade that I want. Oh, and so yeah, so I just took the shift boot and tucked it in there and then taped it off. So yeah, tucked it in. And finally, these are just some pictures that kind of showcase the journey and where I've come from in the CRX when I first got it. to where it is now. So in the interim, I did order a shift knob off of Amazon, just to anything but the stock one. I just didn't like it. I wasn't even convinced that was a stock one. Maybe it is. Maybe someone can let me know in the comments if that is in fact a 91, the very first picture. But I thought it was to me it reminded me of an Integra shifter, shift knob. Maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. The second one, the Mishimoto, I spent way too much on it, in my opinion. That was like 50-60 bucks on Amazon, and I'm not even convinced it's real carbon fiber. They advertise it as it is carbon fiber, and I mean it looks okay. It was still better than the stock shifter in my opinion, shift knob. But ultimately, you know, ironically, it being carbon fiber, I mean, I guess it would have been a better match for what I did, kind of, sort of thing. But yeah, I wasn't happy with that. But then I think the last 3 or 4 pictures are going to be the finished product, and I'm gonna like leave it at full resolution so you can see just how crappy it is. But I mean, overall, I still like it because it achieved the fact that I got the knob and the boot that I wanted in there, and it's in there now. But I'm gonna have to redo it, I think. Yeah, I pretty much know I'm gonna redo it. There it is. Hopefully you enjoyed this video.